So the first thing I want to touch base on is the electric cars. Greg, do you feel that the electric Camaro that was shown still classifies as a muscle car?
Well, I haven't seen it. I've heard a little bit about it, but I've just been working so much that I haven't had a chance to keep up with some of this stuff. So I don't know a whole lot about it, but I'm just gonna say it's a Camaro with a Tesla engine in it, basically.
Essentially, yeah. I've seen that. I've seen they have the vet out, and from what I understand, they're working on a Challenger now. Still no word on a Mustang though. But the real thing that concerns me is that a lot of people want to bash on all the other cars that unless it's a V8, it's not a muscle car. And to be totally fair on the argument, I really feel like in today's day and age, it does not have to be a V8 to meet a muscle car requirement. You know, how would you describe a muscle car?
Well, the classic definition of a muscle car is a high horsepower V8. It really is the top engine that you get in the car and then more. You know, the fact of the matter is that the cars we consider muscle cars, such as the Camaro, the Mustang, and the Challenger, they're not muscle cars, they're pony cars. That's what they were. And muscle car was a classification for cars that had the high engine. That said, in stock form, I think that still holds true.
See, I think like now my dad has had, several cars that he's worked on and I'm sure smashed up and this, that, and the other. And, all his brothers and everything have had their share of cars. And the one biggest thing that I feel always brought car communities together for, all the muscle guys to get together and this, that, and the other, it was always about, taking that car and what you can do to it to make it better. So I personally feel that, considering you can do things with a V6 just like you can do with a V8, I really don't see why, if you can take a V6, max power the hell out of it, why that doesn't classify as still being muscle.
Well, I don't know that I consider it a muscle car, so to speak. Um, you know, muscle cars, the classic definition, I wouldn't say it's a muscle car. Now that said, I just got a comment on one of my videos about the tune on my car saying that, or you could just buy an SS, and that just happened the past couple days. Well, yeah, I could buy an SS. Sure, I could do that. But let's talk about an SS versus my car. I bought my car almost 2 years ago. Memorial Day weekend will be 2 years. I paid $12,900 for my car. At that time, I didn't want to put out, and I still don't want to put out $400 a month for an SS because it was about $20,000 for an SS.
Right.
Today, if you don't count the fact that I had to rebuild my engine because that's not part of, that was maintenance and stuff of that nature. That wasn't part of a build or anything else. It was something I ended up unfortunately having to do. If you take the modifications that I've done to the car and all the things that I've done to the car, and even the things that I want to do in the very near future, we're still only in the realm of $1,500 to $2,500.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still well below that $20,000 mark. But if I spend that full $2,500, I'm probably going to be beating SSs, factory SSs.
Yeah.
You won't be pulling away from me. So, but it's more, I want a car that basically it's going to say, and mind you, this is still a naturally aspirated car at $2,500.
Yeah.
It's still extra dollars.
See, I personally think it's a lot more thrilling. Everybody buys the V8. Everybody expects, you know, what goes on with the V8. But when you're talking a V6, now most V6 owners don't go and push the boundaries as much as, a V8 owner does. So I personally myself feel it's a lot more challenging and a lot more rewarding to actually get a V6 to be pushing, boundaries that you've never seen done before.
Well, um, there are. I mean, there are boundaries. You can bring up my car to be more powerful than a fifth gen ZL1.
Yeah.
Um, and it'll cost you in the neighborhood of about 10 grand. Um, that said, yeah, you can get something out of it, but then again, do you want to put, you're at 10,000. You realize to do that, you're at, for my car, the sticker price on my car was about 26. You're going to wait 5 years till the warranty's up, and then you're going to put another 10 grand into it.
Hmm.
You paid 26, you're at 36, and it's a 5-year-old car.
Yeah.
By this point, you're talking 2015, 2016, the sixth gen came out, and it's now 650 horsepower for the ZL1. Are you going to be satisfied with 500? And you can get 6 and 650, and that's if you don't break down the block. If you break down the block, put the forged pistons in and stuff, you can get up to over 500, 600 horsepower. You can do it in a V6. But to say that a V8 owner pushes the boundaries further than a V6, I disagree with. I think most V8 owners, just like most V6 owners, the most they do is a cold air intake, maybe a axle back,
Yeah.
maybe a cat back. That's it. They're really not doing any performance parts on it.
And, that's actually
Um,
something I noticed. I was in a Mustang group, which I ended up leaving because comments from people, oh my God, it was just terrible. Um, but these people were literally posting up, uh, you know, the axle backs, which to me is not a full exhaust. That is not getting an exhaust done. That's to me that's crap. If you're going to do it, you do the whole thing.
No, I mean, an axle back is a way to change the sound of your car. You're not getting any more power out of it. I mean, it's negligible. It's 2 or 3 horsepower.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about it is that you didn't, I didn't go out to build a car for go. I went out to build a show,
Yeah.
and it's turned into a go. I'm not even quite sure how it happened. But with the engine going, kind of learned a lot about engines and stuff. And I had a ram air intake, and I mean, I wasn't getting the benefit out of it, but I put that in. Then I did I didn't even do a full exhaust. I mean, you talk about you got to do the whole thing. I didn't do the mid pipes. I still have the factory H pipe and resonator.
That's right. Yeah, you do.
I put on, but why change it? You need an H or an X pipe just to
I
eliminate drone.
personally changed mine for the sheer fact that, like, okay, my car I bought brand new, and literally after a couple months, because I put the exhaust on, I want to say 3 months after having the car, the way the pipes looked underneath after 3 months was disgusting. They were completely just like you needed to sand them down. They had rust all over the outside of them. Whereas, replacing it with a good brand that's a stainless steel or whatever, those pipes are going to stay a lot cleaner and not get crappy looking like that.
Well, yeah, you were hung up on the rust and stuff. I mean, and it's not rust. I mean, it is. It's an outer coating, but it's not going all the way through. But what I was getting at is you need an X pipe or a H pipe, and the factory of my car has it. It has an H pipe. Um, and then the resonators, the thing is that, you know, my exhaust was $350 retail. Like, you know, it's 200 for the headers have a price point of $200. The mufflers have a price point of $50 each, and then I got some tips for it. But you know, I was looking to keep the cost down. If you add that middle pipe, you're going from this, you know, $300 system to a $1,300 system.
which is exactly what I paid for mine.
But no, you didn't. You paid 1,300 for a catback.
Well, yeah, for the
For
yeah,
me to do the, it would have been $1,000 for the catback and another couple $100 for the long tube headers.
yeah,
But like I was saying, is I did the ram air intake because I got one hell of a deal on it. But without a tune, you're getting a couple horsepower.
yeah,
Um, then when the engine, I wasn't going to do the long tube headers as much as I wanted them. I felt that I was like, well, what if something happens? Like I don't know that I could put them in, and I didn't want to pay to have them put in. Well, when the engine went, it was like, well, the engine's out for them to put on long tube headers or my stock exhaust manifolds. It's the same price.
exactly.
So yeah, I'm going to have it done. Um, so they ended up with that, and as a result, now I need a tune. So
Yeah,
now I'm getting the benefit of everything. I'm getting you know, the ram air. They say I think it was like 20 horsepower, 15 to 20 horsepower is what the addition is. But again, you got to do a tune to get that.
yeah,
The long tube headers are really your best, and they're giving you probably every bit of 30 horsepower there. So I'm getting 30 there, and that'll happen even without a tune. Um, but 30 for the headers, 20 for that, so it's 50 there. You're getting another 20 with the tune. So I'm probably up to around 375 horsepower at my car, and it's 200 pounds lighter than the SS, and the SS is 425. So the next thing I want is an intake manifold spacer, which gives you about 20 real horsepower because what it does is it cools the air um, that goes into the car by as much as 40 degrees. So that gives you more. So I'm going to be up around 400 right there, or I should be at the crank.
so now, especially with all that, how do you personally feel having a V6 and having all of these other people, which I'm sure you still catch shit. I'm sure you do.
Well, at this point, once I do that, I mean, this is all pretty, you know, end of last year, beginning of this year. So I'm only going to start getting it. But, you know, there is one more, like right now, like doing the intake spacer, which is a very inexpensive thing. So it's going to be done soon. Doing that, I'm, I'm going to put it this way, I'm not going to beat any SSs, but you're not going to gap me.
Yeah.
It's like I'll beat a guy who doesn't know how to drive, but you know that'll be driver. But you're not. I mean, it's going to make these SS guys who want to pull away from. They're going to sit there and go, "What am I doing wrong?" Like,
Well,
why?
you
It's
gotta
going to
remember
make
too,
them second guess.
a lot of these shit talkers are actually the ones who buy them stock. And like you said, they'll do a simple, just the axle back and they'll put an intake on it and say they modded their car. And I guarantee you could probably kick some of their asses out on the street.
Oh yeah, I would. I would. Those guys, I would because they don't know how to drive. Like I said, coming down to the driver.
Yeah.
Um, but the people that are like, I really want to get some time trials on my car
Yeah.
and be able to go, here you go. Here's mine. Where's yours?
Yeah.
That's it. And if I do, there is one thing, and it's actually, I think it's a lot more expensive than I anticipated. I really want to put taller gears in the rear.
Yeah.
And if I do that, yes, I'll be beating SSs. And that's the whole thing is like, oh, I could have bought an SS. Yeah, I could have. Or I can build up my six and gap the V8s.
Yeah. And seeing your car's already almost paid off too, so there's a plus there.
Well, it's not almost paid off, but it doesn't have a warranty.
Close enough. You owe less on yours than I owe on mine. Shit.
I still have 3 years on it, but
Yeah. Yeah, like for me, like I did a full, I did the full exhaust. I got the spacer up in the intake. I got the cold air intake, and then everything else I'm doing is carbon fiber. Now I will fully give anybody who wants to call the grill that I bought ricey. I will fully give them full range to say that that's ricey.
it is.
I'll give everybody that one. But the whole idea with that was to be different and to be unique. But when I make a post and I'm showing expensive carbon fiber on the car, I'm literally getting bashed because why did I buy the V6 and I'm spending basically the same amount of money on carbon fiber parts as it would have been to just buy another car, like, and have a second car. And I'm just like, really? Like, you're bashing me because I'm going and pushing the limit with the best quality I can get, and somehow I'm getting hated on.
Yeah, but you're doing it because you like the look of it.
Yeah,
that's why you're doing it. You are doing it. I mean, you're build right now. You are building a show car.
Yeah,
that's what you're doing because you don't want to. You don't want to get rid of the warranty, which is fine. But that's your car show, not go.
Yeah, I mean, come on, who wants to lose a warranty on a Ford? Just saying, just throwing it out there.
There's plenty of guys out there that are willing to do it, and that's fine. But like I said, I didn't build a go car. I built a show car, but the show car didn't add any weight. Like I didn't put subs in it.
Yeah, which I don't understand. And that's a very good point because you get these SS owners out there, especially, and I can name a few, that they literally focus on doing power stuff, but they'll put these huge fucking boxes in their trunk with all this audio. Really?
Well, here's the thing, and I said this a couple weeks ago to a friend of mine. I said, putting a hot exhaust, a great sounding exhaust on your car, and then putting a system in your car, like subs and all that, that's like getting a boob job and wearing baggy clothes all the
time. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But yeah, it's ridiculous. And people just like I do that think it's awesome to have, the whole trunk display. Okay, if you have like a dubbed out car, that's fine. But on a muscle car, pony car, whatever you want to classify a Camaro, Mustang, or a Challenger, I don't care how you label it. I don't believe in that shit whatsoever.
Just touching on that, we kind of touched on the muscle car thing. Realize that I don't consider an SS a muscle car.
Yeah.
Because by definition, the SS is not a muscle car. The ZL1 is a muscle car.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify that. Again, if you buy a Camaro and you want to put a stereo system in it, you're building a show car. I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah.
But if you're sitting there going to talk crap on me and you're sitting there with 500 pounds of stereo equipment in it, let's hit the track. The things that I've added to my car, there's things I didn't do it for performance. I did the exhaust for sound.
Yeah.
I did the ram air because I wanted a cold air intake. I like the idea of ram air, and I got it for a steal. I got it for $100. It was used, but big deal.
Yeah.
What else have I done? Graphics don't weigh anything. A tablet to make it talk. I don't even have to put it in there if I were going to take it to the track or something.
Yeah. But see, even still, like little things like that, like even like your grill, like I'm sure your grill adds it's insignificant,
that's negligible.
but I'm sure that adds.
That's aluminum.
But yeah. But and digging further into all this whole like muscle thing, especially with the reveal of the new Shelby, there's a lot of people that cannot stand the little the knob and the button for the e-brake and the
Yeah, I don't like that.
see, I personally don't mind it. What a lot of people are forgetting is the fact that everything's advancing. Now, if everybody wants to label a muscle car as being, the fastest thing possible, then there should be no problem accepting the fact that, automatic is already starting to become faster than any stick shift that you can get. Because the computer technology is way up here now than what it used to be. Plus, even if you go to the electric cars, you have the four cylinders, which, they're doing pretty damn good on their market. There are plenty of V6s. There's actually a V6 Camaro that's a Krypton, like what I had, that literally put 9 seconds on a drag strip. And then you have your V8s, the ZL1s. Well, if the electric powered is actually going to kill the V8 and be the better performer, granted, you don't have the lovely sound coming from it. It sounds like shit because it's basically a Tesla at this point. But if that motor is actually, where all the power is coming from and the most powerful you can get, why is it not being accepted that it's a muscle car?
Well, all right, let's sit on a few things. First of all, the reason I don't like the knob is because that when I drive, I like to put my right hand on the gear shifter. Even if it's automatic, I like to be, when if I'm just driving down the road, if I'm not performance driving, I still like to have my hand, one hand on the wheel, one hand on the shifter kind of thing, just to relax. But that's my big thing about that.
Yeah.
An automatic, here's the thing, is it an automatic or is it a dual clutch transmission? I don't know what they're putting in that car. I'm hoping it's a dual clutch transmission.
Right.
A dual clutch transmission is not an automatic transmission. Okay.
While you're on that, do you want to elaborate what that is in case somebody?
Okay. So a dual clutch transmission is designed and essentially a automated stick shift transmission. In other words, internally, it's built like a manual transmission. However, there's automation to make it automatic. And here's the other thing, though: if you're driving it in automatic, performance-wise, yeah, you're never going to get you'll never be fast. You'll go down a drag strip fast, but you're not gonna take it to a track day and be able to handle your car. You need to be able to shift your car.
Yeah.
The difference is a dual clutch transmission does not have a clutch that you have to operate. And that's where people get the most trouble with is the clutch. If you eliminate the clutch and you're just going through gears, you'll get better, because here's the thing: your car wants to be in 8th gear, if that's what you have in the turn, or 10th gear. It wants to be in 10th gear as you're going out of the turn. And when you come out and you lump on it, it's going to have to downshift down for you. And that's a lot of time that you're missing out on. It's a time where it's going to kick in at the wrong time and you can kick out and things of that nature. You need to be able to, so if you're going to go through a turn and you need to be in 3rd gear in that turn, so that when you punch it, it just goes and it's going to be reacting the right way and all of a sudden not break loose on you and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's really not, F1 cars do not have a clutch. So race cars do. They have I think it's a dual clutch. I don't know if it's something more, but it's at least a dual clutch transmission in an F1 race car. And they're shifting through it. So, they don't have to deal with the clutch either. So I don't have a problem with the automatics, so to speak, as long as it's a dual clutch and it has, here's the other thing. When I bought my car, I didn't know that the Camaro was in my price range. And what I thought I was going to be buying was a Ford Focus.
Yeah.
And the thing I hated about the Ford Focus is that in order to shift the gears, and it has a dual clutch transmission, it was a little toggle switch on top of the on top of the gear shifter. Like it didn't have paddle shifters. Like if you're going to put a dual clutch in a car, it better have paddle shifters.
We have a nosy dog who wants to be in a video.
So, I mean, that's kind of where, you know, I don't have a problem with those things. Now, the electric car, to go back to the original topic, the electric car isn't a muscle car. You know, it's going to really depend on a lot of things, I think. I don't think that you can have I don't think you can have a muscle car as an electric car. I think you can have a ludicrous mode,
Well,
but
it's going to come down to the fact that either people accept that it's there and we keep the name of a Camaro, a Challenger, and a Mustang, or people resent it, don't purchase it, and they just die in general. And I'm pretty sure if people are buying this ugly ass Camaro in 2019, I see no problem with an electric one being purchased because they've already lost all their.
buy it. People will buy. Here's my problem with it, though. Do we call it a muscle car? Is going to depend on, well, if I take it out on the street, okay, and I'm driving down the road, is a base model 3 Tesla, am I going to beat it? Or do I
Right.
have to, you know, oh, well, if you put it in ludicrous mode, then yeah, but, you know, wait a minute, but it's geared. Because the thing is that the faster you make the car, the shorter your time, the amount of distance that you can go.
Right.
So, you know, when I drive around my car, and when you drive around your car, you notice that everybody's slow as hell
Yeah.
because they don't have the power that can, you know, you're like holding your car back, trying to just like, come on, would you just speed up? My car doesn't want to go this slow. It doesn't cruise at this speed. Um, and if you are cruising basically as everybody else, then you've got a Chevy Volt. So I think they need to be able to keep that car to be more than the average car, because if it's not more, I don't know that I would. I mean, would I buy an electric Camaro if it was just as fast as everything else?
I mean,
Maybe. It's all about style at that point. It's all about the styling, as you know. It's just like every other car.
I mean, see, here's the way I look at it. Think back on when the whole digital TV crap came out. You know, the government turned around and they shut down everything and made it where you had to get the the high definition TV that had the ability to run digital television. And let's be honest, that wasn't exactly optional. So I'm looking at that, and then I'm kind of figuring, I'm like, okay, well, you know, everybody wants to talk about all the things we see in movies where, oh, in like 50 years, we'll be flying around in spaceships and shit like that. It all starts somewhere. And where it's going to start is right here on four wheels, where we're traditionally, and already established. However, the other stuff is going to have to die off before we get to that point. And I truly feel that the time is going to come where, maybe it'll go down the line and it'll be the V8s get kicked off first, because of how, pollutant they are. They're terrible on gas, and, they're also expensive.
Well, let's talk about a few things here. You know, you said V8s are terrible pollutants.
Yeah.
If you go and get a new car, if you go talk to a mechanic and you ask them, so you know, in a state that sniffs it, and they sniff what comes out of that, it's almost breathable.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, there's any car, whether it be a 4-cylinder or 8-cylinder, it doesn't really matter. A V8 doesn't, if you think about it, a V8 doesn't produce any more exhaust, because a four-cylinder has to work twice as hard. It still fires in the exact, so a four-cylinder sitting at 700 RPMs is still firing every cylinder right after another.
Right.
A V8 at idle still does the same thing, because if you the four-cylinder is doing it twice as many times. Each cylinder is firing twice as many times as the V8. It's still putting out the exact same emissions
Okay.
at idle.
All right. So, all right.
Now, when the V8 produces more power and it's going faster and things like that, yeah, it could be producing a little bit more, but it's negligible. If you look at the carbons that are coming out of a V8 engine, it's like any engine, it's like, I can almost breathe that. So I don't buy that the V8, it uses more gas. That's what it does. It uses more gas.
And I think that's especially a big reason why Ford totally is pushing, um, the sale of the EcoBoost.
And
And
yet they're building only SUVs.
yeah. Well, a lot of the SUVs, like even the van that my wife rented, while we were waiting for her car to get done, that had the eco. Each car brand has their own term for whatever the hell they call it, but it had the eco mode. And honestly, Ford has already gotten rid of the V6. My Mustang is the last V6,
Right.
unless they bring it back, because they've done that before. And what's ultimately going to happen is I really think Ford will be the first company to get rid of the V8 and stay full on EcoBoost. Out of the three, I think Ford will be the first one to do it.
I could see Ford going. I could see Ford getting rid of the V8 and going to a twin turbo V6.
Yeah.
I could see them doing something of that nature, because they did it with the GT.
Yeah. See, I think regardless, I think the V8 is when they start cracking down and killing off gas power, I really feel as if the V8 is going to be the first one to go, and the EcoBoost is going to hang around to be the transition.
Yeah, it will be. But here's the thing. Here's the big secret that nobody's talking about electric cars. Okay. Electric car. Let's talk about the Tesla Roadster. Okay. Remember that car?
I do.
So that car, you could not drain the batteries all the way. If the batteries went dead, the car was a brick. You couldn't move it. You couldn't even get it on a rollback. Like, it would not roll. You had to drag it onto a rollback.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: is that car had to be completely ripped apart to replace all the batteries. I mean, you had to basically take it down to the chassis, replace the batteries, and rebuild it.
Yeah.
And there are stories where a guy bought one, charged it up, put it on a container ship to ship it over to the Middle East somewhere. By the time it got there, slow boat from China kind of thing, months later, pulls it out, car's dead. It's a brick. It has to go back to Tesla to get new batteries put into it. Okay. So batteries, and we're talking tens of thousands of dollars or more, $100,000. I mean, we're talking basically buying a new car almost. So here's the thing: these batteries in these cars are only good for about 7 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go up here. You bought your car 5-year loan, 6-year loan,
7.
7-year loan. Okay, so you got a 7-year loan on that car. Now it's going to cost. So your car was 24 ish.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 24,000. Now you got to replace the 7-year loan. Take it out, and they go, Oh, okay. Thank you for coming by. Listen, the reason you're not getting any range is you need to replace all your batteries. This is going to cost $15,000 to replace your batteries today. Would you like to have us do that for you? So
Yeah.
you just took out a seven that you just paid off your car, and now you owe $15,000 again to replace the batteries to keep going.
Yep.
Now let's look at it another way. Okay, you just bought your wife a car. What year's her car?
2015.
15. So it's 4 years old. Okay. So it's a four. How long's the loan on that one?
I believe it's 5.
5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in 3 years, you're gonna have to replace the batteries, and it's a $15,000. So you bought a used car that now you're paying more than if you bought a brand new one. Like everybody's gonna have to buy brand new cars,
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
and the you're gonna have to lease it because that's the only way that makes sense. You lease the car, and now you know what they do with those cars. They're going to trump. No one's going to buy them, so they're going to junk them. They're going to have no resale value. That's why you have to lease it because nobody's going to buy a car that in a couple of years they got to replace the batteries.
And that's what
So
sucks too is the fact that, you know, no matter what car it is, you're not going to even be able to do anything to it. Like there is
you'll
no
still, yeah, you still can. There are things you can. There are things you can do to it, but you're getting down to realize that now you're trashing cars. Okay, you're just throwing them away.
yeah.
And an electric car is worse on the environment from the time of strip mining the raw materials for the battery to disposing of the battery. It's worse than the environment than a V8 Mustang Camaro or Challenger in its entire lifespan.
And that's totally correct.
And that's what people aren't talking about. They're not looking at, they're not doing anything with. Is that, oh, we'll go electric because they, first of all, they think that when they buy an electric car, they're being powered by the sun or the wind. They're
Yeah.
not. They're being powered by coal.
Yeah.
So here's the other side of it. You didn't buy you would you ever buy another brand new car?
If I had money to,
Now, look at it realistically. In your situation, if where you're going and things like that, do you see yourself going out and buying a brand new car ever again?
no.
Okay, you don't see it. You'd been there, done that. Like I told you a year ago, don't buy new.
Mm.
Buy a year or two old, get a great deal. Um, so you're gonna do that, but you know what? You need to save that money. You're not going to do it. You realize that that's a waste of money. And people in our situations, and I would say at least 50% of the people in America, they can't afford new cars. They can't afford. They definitely can't afford two brand new car payments
Yeah.
in a household and things of that nature. So gasoline is going to be around for a really long time.
Yeah, I'll tell you what too. I really don't know what the whole hype is with it, and I don't think a lot of people actually realize this, but you can buy a sports car nowadays cheaper than buying a third row SUV or even a truck or a Jeep anymore.
Oh yeah.
Like a lot of people look at sports cars and are like, "Oh my god!" Like they always put a price tag that is insanely blown out of proportion because it's a sports car. But when you actually
Well,
go to the dealer and you see that, oh, this brand new Jeep is like 60 grand, and here my Mustang was 24, it's like, what the?
I've done some research on asking people what they think the value of my car is. And inevitably, the number they come up with is about 40 grand, which
Yeah,
is the price of a pretty decently equipped V8.
yeah,
And the reason is, is because everybody likes my car.
yeah,
It sounds great. It looks great. They love the look of it. It doesn't look like that base Camaro with the rally rims. Okay, so immediately they sit there and go, "Oh my God, that's a gorgeous car. That must be the $40,000 car that I would always want but can't afford."
Yeah.
I get that all the time, and even when I bought the car, my father was like, "Oh, are you ever going to grow up?" I said, "Dad, it it was between this and a Focus, and this was cheaper." People are sit there. I'll do another one. I'll go up to I'll inevitably I'll get a smoker who'll sit, they're standing outside smoking a cigarette. I pull up, "Oh, really nice car, man." And I'm like, "Yeah, why don't you have a nice car?" "Oh, I can't afford it, blah, 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 blah." And I go, "Really? How much you smoke?" "Well, the average smoker smokes a pack a day. It's about $7 a day. Multiply times 30, that's 210. My car payment's 221.
Yep.
Pick your vice." In fact, we were talking about it earlier. I was really, really looking forward to doing a track day at Pocono Raceway. It was a roll race, so it's not real hard on the car. It's like 1,800 feet, and it's on the front stretch at Pocono Raceway. And tickets went on sale yesterday. I was real excited. I'm like, you can go to the drag strip for like $25. I'm like, oh man, hopefully this will be. And all of a sudden on Sunday, I see save up to 65 and I'm dollars by registering on Monday. I'm like, $285. I was like, no thanks.
Yeah.
But it was on April 20th. So I was going to do a video. I realized I was, damn, I can't even do the video I wanted because I was going to be doing, 420, doing my drug of choice. It's going to be, driving the car around the racetrack. I mean, but I talked to a guy I work with. He does racing events up there, track days, and he says he spends about $150 for the day to go up there on the days he goes. But he also said that you spend a day at the track doing a track day, you can expect it's $1,000 bill.
Wow.
Because you got to replace your tires, you got to replace your brake pads, you got to actually put in better brake fluid, otherwise it'll boil and things like that. So he's like prepping your car and stuff. And you really for the week, you're looking at $1,000 bill to go. So I would love to go, but I don't want to put that kind of money out.
Oh yeah, and plus I heard something about you got to get it like inspect it too. There's like a different inspection. I don't know if it's at the place or a place that they use.
It's a safety inspection.
Yeah.
And what it is they're checking to make sure your car's safe. That's all.
Yeah.
You don't have fluid leaks that's going to put oil in the track and things like that. That you have the proper safety equipment for the car that you have. So depending on how fast your car is, like at a drag strip, depending on how fast you go the quarter mile, depends on what you have to do. So if you're slower than 14 seconds, you need a seatbelt, pants, closed-toed shoes, and a shirt.
Yeah.
If you're like 13 seconds, if you're below, I forget what the numbers are, but my car would fall below, I might be able to get into 13s, maybe. Like a professional driver could get my car into the 13s, no problem.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it could get faster.
How to handle.
So technically I wouldn't need a helmet, but if I got into the 13s, then you need a helmet. But it doesn't have a specific rating that you need. Faster you go, the more, fire suits. If you're in below 10 seconds or 9 seconds? If you're a 10-second car or 9-second car, you need a roll cage and things like that. So that's but they're basically making sure, like they'll ask you, I go up there and I go, yeah, but it's a V6. And what happens is let's say I were to go into a racetrack and I go, oh yeah, and all of a sudden I run a 13.8 and I don't have a helmet. Well, I'm done. They won't let me race anymore.
And see, that's the thing I think's best. Like, sure, if I could afford it, I'd love a V8. But that's the one thing of enjoyment I don't think any V8 owner knows or will ever experience. Is being able to have the underdog and literally be able to, Like, to me, that is awesome. That is, oh, that's a dream right there.
But the V8, the V8 owner is still an underdog. I mean, when you go to the track, you're still an underdog because, like
Yeah.
we said, they don't do anything to the car. It's a stock car. Exhaust, catback, and cold air intake is not a modification, a performance modification.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't hardly do anything.
Yeah, it's that's all that they do. That's all anybody does. Even the racer cars, the imports, that's all they do.
Yeah.
But there's still underdogs. You get up against because there's still driver factors, and you pull up next to a Mustang. Good luck. You know, if he's a better, if you get that first 60 feet, man, you can win and lose a race in 60 feet.
Yeah.
So
See, that's especially with the Mustang owners. I love how the ones that have prior years talk so much shit, and it's like I would spin circles around you as if you were standing still with my V6 stock. And I'm not
yeah,
even,
if you're prior to 2011,
yeah,
2010 and before, a stock car, you have more horsepower than they do.
yeah. It's
I don't know
crazy.
what the weight is, and when Camaro came out in 2010, you know, the GT had 310 horsepower and the Camaro had 305 in the V6.
Yeah,
It was heavier, but it still opened some eyes.
yeah. You know, it's funny too because I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'm pretty sure my dad's actually watching this right now, and I've told him like I told him I'm like, you know, because his is the V6 also, it's the '05, and I told him like, dude, I would fucking kill yours, and he's like, no, you won't, no, you won't. I'm like, you want to bet? They
Want to
were
race for pinks?
yeah, right. Like it's so underpowered, so underpowered. Like if he could
Well,
actually drive mine, he'd understand.
2 years ago, we were at that Quakertown Airport car show, and I had my daughter with me, who was 12 years old, and there was a BMW 8 Series there for sale. So joking around, I turned to her. I said, "Oh, you want a car like that for your first car?" She turns to me. She goes, "I already got my first car. I'm taking your Camaro." And at that point, I hadn't done anything to the car. I think I had the Ram there. That was it. I mean, it was bone stock. And I was like, well, maybe. And I started thinking like, oh, maybe she could have it. And then, because my first car was a V8 Camaro, it was a '76 V8 Camaro. And I was like, why not? And then I started going. I started. I started looking at what that car had. It only had 140 horsepower versus the 305, and now almost 400. It's like, yeah, I can't give her that car. I can't give her my car. But I could see getting her like a 2005 Mustang or something for her first car, something like that.
Yeah. Now we actually got a very good comment for finally getting a comment in here. And to be honest, I really agree with it. And truthfully, unless you're somebody like even with my six, like yeah, it's fun to, you know, accelerate quick and speed a little bit here and there, you know, but like unless you're going to take the thing and really max out the potential of the V8, honestly, yeah, what is really the point in having it?
Okay, well here's going to be my take on it. If you're asking what is the point of a V8, okay, in your comment. Now this is not this is the point. Okay, you're pushing 370 horsepower. A V8 is pushing more than that. Number one. Number two, the point is how far you. I mean, you can take a V8 and you can get 800 horsepower out of it. So there is that. If you're doing a build where you're building it out, the point is that you can go a lot farther. Um, he's not much that can beat me off the mark. I don't know what you have, James. So it's kind of hard for me to talk. But here's the thing. Here's the real thing you're missing with that. When you say genuine question, if my 2.0 pushes 370 horsepower, what is the point of the V8? I can tell you the point of the V8 is the sound.
Okay, here's what he posted his car.
Okay, 845 AMG. Okay, yeah. And you do have crazy gas prices over there. So I mean, I'll give it to you. Yeah, I see your point. I mean, I'm not saying that the V8 is better. I'm saying that the point is the sound. You won't, like you're not going to get the sound of a V8 out of a four cylinder. I Most people think that my car's a V8. If I don't, and I've had to get out of the habit of telling people, yeah, it's only a six. Like I let them think what they want now. I'm just like, yeah, it sounds great, doesn't it? Yeah, that's how a muscle car's supposed to sound. I just leave it at that. But you won't get the sound out of a four. That's all.
Yeah, you won't get the same sound, but there are definitely ways you can still make a six, and I suppose a four cylinder still sound good.
You're not gonna get that muscle car sound out of a four.
Yeah. See, I don't know how well you can really tune a Ford to sound because I've never had one, but I'm sure you can still get something. But I'm it's going to have to require a exhaust that's literally built to change the sound and manipulate the way it comes through the pipes. It would have to be something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I see Matt popped in here now. What's up, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's saying he can easily tune to 500.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like I said, if you can get it. You can get the power out of a four. You can get the power out. You just can't get the sound, and you'll never get that muscle car sound out of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, they sound good. I'm not saying that you can't get a good sound out of a four. As long as you don't put a fart can on it, you can get a good sound. It's just not going to be that that rumble.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was shocked too. I actually I ran into a guy at Walmart. I ended up parking right next to him, because why not? Who had a all black 2016 to 18 Camaro. And, we were just, bullshitting and everything. And he was like, dude, you won't believe, like what motor's in this. And, normally by looking at the car, I could already tell what it is. But, I was parked right up against him, so I couldn't see his wheels. I didn't really see his front end too much. So I really didn't know what he had right off the bat. And I'm thinking like, oh, would he like do something to it or whatever? Because
Got to be a four.
yeah, he sounded so hype about it. And I'm like, he had to have done something like epic. So I'm like, no, what's in it? He's like, dude, it's only a four cylinder with a turbo. And I'm like, and this is an older guy. Like this guy was definitely like in his 60s. He was like, I would never believe a four cylinder was ever capable of how this thing pulls. He was like, I can be out of light and gas it and I'm gone. So it's kind of cool because someone who is used to, having to have a V8, back in the days, is
Right.
now looking at like, holy crap, here, if this is the low end, what's the high end? And this is already awesome. you know? So they're still
Yeah.
enjoyable. You can still enjoy, the lower end models. You don't have to have, a ZL1, an SS. You can buy what you want for yourself and have fun in it. It's
Well,
not
you know
like,
what?
you know,
A few weeks ago, I realized that I'm going to be paying off a lot of bills. And when I rebuilt the engine of the car, it was kind of like I want to get rid of it because I'm worried about the V6. That's the real problem with the V6 is in my car is the engine. the actual design of the engine, it has its problems. And I was like, maybe I could get a V8. The V8s are coming down again. Like I could get a V8 for a decent price in the 5th gen because they're getting older. And I was really like, what can I get it for? What's out there? Where are they at and stuff? And I really looked at it, and I started looking at what was available, and I'm looking at them going, why would I get rid of my car? Like, I like my car so much more than these cars, and I've got almost the horsepower. Like, all I'm doing is wasting money and spending more.
And Matt even commented, he said the V8s are dropping. And, the truth is, and here's where I'm at with things right now. In 6 years, or maybe 5, depending on how I can do things, once my Mustang's paid off and once my wife's car is paid off, I'm going to go out and get another Camaro. I want to keep the Mustang. I don't want to get rid of it. When I get a Camaro, I want it to be a 6th gen because that's what I really like. I was really happy with that, for 7 days. And
you'll get a 6th gen refresh.
Oh God. And honestly, by the time 6 years goes by, you'll be able to get an SS that was garage kept, that some guy just let sit in his garage, and you can get it, relatively cheap. You can
Don't
go.
be so sure of that.
Well, you can go.
Don't be so sure of that.
You can go right now.
Yeah, but what's going to happen in 6 years?
Maybe. I don't know.
I'll tell you what's going to happen in 6 years. Wait, listen to what I'm going to say.
Go ahead.
It's going to be the electric Camaro, and all the gas Camaros are going to hold their value.
Yeah. But honestly, right now, and yourself, you can get a really nice 5th gen SS for like 18 to 20 to the
Not
most
even.
for like 20.
Not even. They're cheap, like 15.
They are cheap. Yeah, they're cheap. You can really, like, I could have got one of them and saved like 10 grand. Honestly, it's.
I told you to.
But yeah, I'm gonna start shutting this down now a little bit because it's getting up to an hour. So, did you have anything else you wanted to add in with what we've talked about?
No, I think we covered it.
Cool. So
let's see. We covered that the V8s guys are idiots. We've covered that we're not real thrilled with the electric cars and what they're coming out with, and people really don't know what they're talking about. And my car's faster than yours.
Yeah. Oh God. All right, guys. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you're watching it on a replay, if you guys have any questions, remember you guys can always stop on Gregory Salvatore's channel at 9 o'clock on Sundays, and we can always touch base on your questions over there. So hopefully I'll see some of you guys over on his channel with that, and I hope you guys all have a good night.
And make sure you leave a thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up. Not because you like me, because you like him.